Hey guys, welcome to the CANCAST show. Today we did a powerful conversation with LB Hassel about the importance of mindset, discipline, and consistency. Watch whole podcast and subscribe to the channel, guys. Welcome to the CANCAST show, LB.
Absolutely.
There are so many things I want to talk about, but let's start with when you did started going to the gym.
Mhm.
What mistake you have done?
So in my experience, right? Because
Yes.
everybody is different, but in my experiences, and I see a lot of people doing that, is they train. I guess I would say they focus on muscles, which will not make a lot of difference. So I talk about it in my videos also. When you train, especially when you start off training, focus on compound movements. What I mean by that is bench, squat, deadlift, like exercise where you work multiple muscles at once and focus on progressively adding up the weights. I was focused on, for example, just arms. I would just do arms every day. You know what I mean? Or I would just do shoulders every day. And I would focus on isolation. You know what I mean? Isolation exercises instead of compound exercises. If you really want to see growth, you prioritize compound movements and you focus on progressively adding up more weights and you do isolation exercise at the end. I was doing it all wrong, and I always see people doing that. I see them always just bicep curls, bicep curls, bicep curls, and then I see them train, calves. You know what I mean? But this is not how you start off. Those are the details. First, you want to start off with the big picture, get stronger as a whole, and then you focus on the details. You know what I mean? So you have to have a strong foundation first, and then from there you start building.
So can you explain compound exercises and isolation exercises for the beginners? Because
Absolutely.
they will be confused, right?
Absolutely, and I understand that. So compound movement are, for example, bench press, squat, deadlift, pull-ups, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So compound movements are just movements that work multiple muscles at once. Isolation exercises are mostly just machines where you work just one muscle. Like the example where, for example, a machine where you work on your bicep curls, you just do that, that would be an isolation exercise. I'd rather a beginner do compound movement because that's going to bring out the most results and that's going to be way harder on the body, which will make the body grow way more than just focusing on individual muscles.
And increase your strength also, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, we're going to talk about it probably later, right? But when you are a natural lifter, right, you have to focus on strength to a minimum. I was also focusing a lot on looking good. And when you focus on looking good, what happens is you train to show off. So that means you train in the wrong rep range. Now we're getting into the details, right? If you actually want to grow your muscles, focus on, I would say, rep range between 8 reps to 10 reps because that forces you to push harder weights, like heavier. I was training 12 reps to 15 reps, which is good, but it's only pumping the muscle. You're not actually getting stronger. You know what I mean? So yeah, compound movement, just exercises that work multiple muscles at once. Isolation movement, just one muscle at a time, which is not the best.
I have one question. Like I don't have too much information about this, but I have learned that in bulking you have to do less reps and heavy weight, and in cutting more reps and lightweight.
Right.
So you said, but 8 to 10 reps.
That's right.
To gain strength and build your muscle, right?
That's right.
So does we have to do 12 to 15 reps in cutting, or we can do 8 to 10 in cutting also?
It's going to be harder to do. I would say anywhere between 5 reps to 10 to 8, 10 reps. It's going to be way harder to do that when you are cutting because you have less strength, because you have less body fat. You know what I mean? That's why people who bulk focus on strength, because that's when they are going to be at their strongest. When you're cutting, you're going to have less strength. And that's why those people usually focus on aesthetics. They focus on other things than just strength. You know what I mean? So, for example, right now, I'm kind of bulking. So I'm just doing 6 to 8 reps.
You don't look on it, bro.
I'm just focusing on 6 to 8 reps
Okay.
because I want to be strong, But if I start squatting for the summer, I will start leaning out. So I would probably focus on 10 to 12 reps just because now I'm going to want my muscles to be a little bit more round, more aesthetic. You know what I mean?
Do you have lots of friends?
No.
No.
I have a small circle of friends. I know a lot of people, but I don't have a lot of friends.
Why that so?
Because I don't think that's healthy. The more people you have in your life, the more potential for distraction you have. You know what I mean? The more people you have in your life as friends, the more opportunities of making the wrong decisions. I don't want a lot of friends. I just want a small circle of people who will share the same mindset as me, who are going to help me grow. That's all. Friends, I only see them as distractions. I don't need friends. I only need brothers. That's all.
So what type of mindset you have? I want to
Sharpness.
know that because you are
Sharpness. That's all. The mindset that I have is sharpness. Being sharp to me is somebody who doesn't easily get distracted. Obviously, we are all human beings, right? So we are gonna, from time to time, we're gonna act off emotions, right? We're not gonna go to the gym every single day. Sometimes we're gonna feel lazy. It happens, right? It happens to me too. Sometimes we're not gonna get that bag. We're not gonna go get that money. It happens. Sometimes we're gonna get through breakups. We're gonna be down and depressed and all that. That's okay. It happens. We are human beings. But my mindset overall is sharpness. You have to be sharp. That means you know the work that you have to do. You have to reduce all the distractions in your life, and you just have to focus on getting things done as sharply as you can. Sharply means you have
focused.
focus, but to be more forward with it, you have to be precise with what you want out of life. To me, when I hear the word sharpness, it's about precise. You know what I mean? Like you need to just find out what you want to do. And when you find out what you want to do, you focus on that one task, and anything else becomes a distraction. You know what I mean? The problem is, and that's normal, right? When you're young, sometimes you don't know what you want out of life, right? But when you are young, especially, you are kind of all over the place. When you're all over the place, you have more potential to waste your time. You know what I mean? In everything that you do, whether it's you, whether it's the next person, when you do something, precisely decide what you want to accomplish and put all your energy into that one thing to make sure you don't waste any time, because once time has passed, it's over. You can never get it back. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you something like this, right? I'm only 23 now, but I have so many regrets.
You are 23?
Yeah, I'm 23.
You don't look 23.
I don't look 23?
Yeah, no.
How do I look?
You look like 27, 28.
Oh, yeah?
Because you are massive, man. I am 25, man. I'm looking
25?
skinny in front of you.
23? Here you go. Here you go. Same age. So what I would say is I'm only 23 now, but I have so many regrets. You know what I mean? I have so many regrets because there's so many opportunities that I did not take, right? I started so many projects that when I look back, I'm like, if I'd stuck up to it, I'm sure by now I would have been one of those success stories that you see online and everything. But because I was so out of focus and so not sharp, I wasted years by just focusing on the wrong things. Friends, like you mentioned, opposite gender, just drifting around, not knowing what to do. I'm focusing on the task for 50% instead of 100%. You know what I mean? So you have to be very careful. Just be sharp, know what you want to do, be decisive. And when you decide to do something, do it all the way. That's my mindset. Sharpness. That's how I call it.
Right. I'm learning so many things from you right now.
I don't know if you read the book Napoleon Hill.
No.
I sent you.
You did send me the picture.
Outwitting the Devil. He talks about that precise mindset of majority of people are just drifting. Drifting is just a mindset, or I would say state, where you don't have any purpose. You know what I mean? You're just going, you just kind of oozing, you know what I'm saying, in life with no specific purpose that you're trying to accomplish. That's what's called drifting. You're not accomplishing anything. You don't have a vision. You don't have any ambitions. And he talks about it, and he says that's the most unhealthy thing that a person can go through. If you want to be happy with yourself, if you want to feel accomplished and fulfilled, you need to be in those 2% of people who are non-drifters, meaning people who are sharp, focused, and they know what they want out of life. Otherwise, at some point, and I talked about it in a video of mine, you're going to wake up, you're going to be 60 years old, you're going to look back, right? And you're going to realize I had all those opportunities and I didn't take them. And that, to me, that's frightening. You know what I mean?
Right. What is your ambition?
My ambition?
Yeah.
So to be precise, I want to change people's lives in the sense that I want to bring light to people. It's going to be hard for me to explain, but there's so many people who come up to me at the gym and I'm not even lying to you, and I'm actually sad for those people. So many of these people at the gym, sometimes they come to me and they start talking to me about their problems. They start talking to me about their depression, anxiety, their stress levels, what's going on at home, they're not happy, and all that. And that's so sad to me, because people feel alone and they feel lonely because they don't have purpose in life. So what I want to precisely do is I want to open up agencies where people can talk, let their emotions out. I don't know how you call it. It's not psychology, but it's just a counseling business, I guess. I want to do that where people don't feel alone. You know what I mean? There's so many men and women actually who they don't have anybody to talk to about their issue. I had a person at Cassie Campbell, it's a gym, who I just met, and I just say hi to him from sometimes, right? I just say hi to him, I dap him up, right? And then one day he texted me on IG, and then he just explained to me his whole life story, even though I don't know him, right? And then he said, how can you help me with my depression? And that to me was so sad, because that means, right? And he was also from India, actually. And then that's so sad because to me, that means with all the family members he has, with all the friends he has, he can only talk to a stranger. You know how lonely that person is, right? He told me he cannot even talk about his problems to his family members and his friends. So he has to come talk to somebody who he doesn't even know. And I don't want people to feel that way. I want people to feel fulfilled and the opposite of lonely. So I want to have counseling businesses where I can just help people. I can just be a shoulder to cry on. I can just be the person they come to just to feel good. And I just bring a smile to people's faces. You see me at the gym, right? I know a lot of people, and people come talk to me. And that makes me happy to know that I represent something to people. You know, they feel free, they feel welcome when they come to me. That's what I want to do, but on an international level. Let me just tell you like this, right? So it's in 2021. Okay, it's in 2021. I'm in a motel, not a hotel, but a motel. I'm there, right? I'm just I'm going through a lot of things mentally, and then suddenly, right, I hear a big knock on the door, and it is like I heard a lot of footsteps towards my door, and then boom, 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 open up the door. You know what I mean? And I'm shook, right? Because they knock so hard on the door. And then I open up the door, and then as soon as I open up, they rush in the door, and then they have guns, right? They have guns. Wow. Yeah, they have guns. And you know why? Because they knew that I was going to kill myself. Because actually, I was in the motel with a knife because I was depressed and I was isolated, and I didn't feel like I was not in the right place mentally. So the reason why I'm able to say what I'm saying, and the reason why I want to open up those businesses for people who feel the same way, is because I've been there. I've been there. I had so many issues. And at some point, I left the place where I live. I went to a motel. I said, today is the day where I'm going to end it all. And I took a knife with me, and I was ready to do it. Like there was a voice in my head saying, it's time for you to just end it. You just end it, and then you don't have to suffer anymore. Thankfully, though, you know what I mean? people knew what I was doing and then they came to save me. But there's a lot of people who commit suicide every single day.
How
Right.
did you recover yourself from that depression?
From the exact steps that I said, so the problem is I was drifting. I didn't have any purpose, like your friends a little bit, right? They ask, what am I supposed to do? Right? So I had to reevaluate myself and my purpose. That's one. What is my purpose? What is the calling that the universe or God, depending on what you believe in, is calling me to do? What am I supposed to do in this life? I really had to look into myself and meditate on my calling. As soon as I figure out what I wanted to do, I started working towards things. I started working out. I started accomplishing small tasks that made me feel better. You know what I mean? And then also, I made sure to never be isolated. If I had issues, I was always talking to people, to my family, to specific family members, because before that, I was not talking to anybody. I spent 2-3 years completely isolated, not talking to anybody about my issues. But the problem with that mindset is you let the negative thoughts, the negative emotions and energies build up in your body to, at some point one day you wake up and you say, I can no longer handle it. So it's time for me to stop it by doing the unforgivable, right? Unforgettable. So I stopped isolating myself. If I was feeling some type of way, I would talk to specific family members. And also the most important is I looked specifically into my surroundings. Who is in my surroundings that's not helping me grow? Because I don't know if you believe in energies.
Yeah, I believe in that.
Yeah, sometimes when you surround yourself with people who have a lot of negative energy, even if you're trying to do good things in life, it's gonna it's gonna affect you.
Yeah, somewhere in your life.
Absolutely. And I noticed, even though I was an isolated person in that depression phase, when I was hanging out with the wrong people who were just doing drugs, who were just hooking up, who didn't have any purpose, who were just doing bad things. So I had to also make sure I switch my mindset and switch my network to make sure I was in the right place and only surrounded by positive people.
And who are ambitious.
Who are ambitious by any means possible.
So, I am isolating right now from 6-7 months. But what I think for me, I take negative thoughts and convert them into positive.
That's the good thing to do. The problem with me though is I was having negative thoughts, letting them be negative thoughts. You are transmuting those negative thoughts into positive things, right? So you might, for example, somebody who goes through a breakup, that's a negative thing to go through. But if you transmute that negative energy into something positive, then you're going to use that breakup to motivate yourself to become a better person. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing to do. You're doing the right thing.
I am not dealing with a breakup.
Oh yeah.
Still,
you know what I mean though?
Yeah.
Like you take something negative and then you transfer it into something productive. I was doing the opposite. I was dwelling on the negative, meaning I just took the negative, but I didn't do anything with it. I just let it sit and build up. I wasn't using it to produce something positive.
Right,
and that's the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was thinking like I am doing something wrong.
No,
After 6 months, I will be having knife and going in the water.
No, not at all, man. So it's all about right now though, even right now, I have negative things, but the difference between the me of now and the me of back then is because now I'm able to take those negative things and transform them into motivations to become a better person. That's the main difference. It's all about mindset. The mindset of somebody who is depressed is they focus on the negative things and they are not able to get out of that rut. Sorry. But somebody who wants to move is going to use that as a means to become to be in a better place in the future. That's the only difference.
First thing I think so we have to do is change our surrounding if we want to change ourselves.
Absolutely.
That's the main thing, I think. So that's the main thing.
I used to have a lot of friends back in the days until I reached the point where I realized that it was not productive. It was not any good to me to have a lot of friends because it was only distracting me and it only led to me not accomplishing my purpose and accomplishing important things in my eyes. So I had to surround myself with people who think like me. So all the people who do not think like me, unfortunately, we're no longer friends. Because at some point you're gonna come, you can't at some point, right? When you want to be successful, and we talked about it previously, you're gonna get to a point where you realize you have so little time, and so much ambition, you cannot associate yourself with the wrong people, because eventually either they're going to make you waste time, or their negative energy and their negative habits are going to rub off on you, and you're going to start doing the wrong things. So you have to be cognitive of that.
After becoming ambitious, you want to be something in your future. Everyone have different type of goals.
Yep.
What you want to be, like, I want to be millionaire, trillionaire, wherever.
Quadrillionaire.
Yeah.
The first one is I want to be a light for people who suffer from depression and all that.
Yeah, you do.
And the second thing is I want to also have multiple businesses.
Multiple businesses.
Yeah.
So kind of you want to be millionaire also.
Yeah, and even this year I'm going to Africa to open up a few shops, because that's what I want to do. I'm still young, so I have the mindset of you have to travel and you have to connect with people. You have to start businesses, so you have the potential to learn and make mistakes fast, so you don't make them when you're older. You know what I mean? So that's what I want to do. Like, just sorry about that. My main focus, I want to be a light to people. My second focus is having multiple businesses.
Do you love money? For me, like, money is everything to me, because I have been suffered all my life for money. So I want to make lots of money, so though I don't have to think about it.
Right. So I guess you don't have to suffer and look into.
I don't want my parents to suffer for money, and me also including.
So that's pretty much the same mindset, because when I see my parents right now, I want to put them in a position where they are financially at peace. You know what I mean? Because money does bring peace to some extent. I don't really like the 9 to 5 system, because it takes away from your peace of mind, and it also takes away from your time with family and friends, right? It's not, you're not really being free.
Right. You're a slave.
Pretty much.
Kind of.
Pretty much, right? You do get a salary out of it though. So I don't know if you can say slave, but you're not free with your time and your family and your friends. So if there is one reason why I would want to be financially independent, it would be because I want to escape that reality, and I just want to be in a position where I can be at peace of mind. So that's the main benefit of money. In terms of happiness though, I cannot talk on it because I'm not a millionaire yet. I will see when I am, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know about that aspect, because there's a lot of people who are very famous and who have a lot of money who ended up committing suicide, right? Who still ended up going through depression. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's happiness on its own.
But I think money, when you want to earn too much, you have to sacrifice also for that.
Absolutely.
Sacrifice your time, sacrifice your family. If you have a partner, obviously you have to sacrifice, because you don't have a time to talk to her.
Absolutely.
Or go for a movie or something like that, right? So that's what I think. I think so. The people who committed suicide, because they have money, but they don't have family at that time.
Yeah.
Because
it's one of those things where you have to have the balance.
Yes.
But the thing is, you do have to understand, right? To my understanding, when you want to be a millionaire, you're going to sacrifice a lot of your time. But it's a temporary time that you have to sacrifice, so that later on in life, you can be in a good place.
Right.
Which is called delayed gratification, right? You sacrifice your time now so that later on in life, you can be at peace and you can be good. You know?
That's why time is so important. If you start sacrificing your time at the age of 30 and you are married, then obviously your family gonna leave you. Maybe there is a chances. And then after becoming rich, you will still be in a depression because your family left you,
Absolutely.
right? So I think so at the age of 20 to 28, we have to work so hard. Instead
Absolutely.
of going clubbing, partying, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We can work hard, and obviously if you are working for one thing for 5-6 years, you will achieve something.
Absolutely. And that's why you mentioned a good point, right? About because we're both in our 20s. And the problem with being in our 20s is we have so many temptations because that's when our testosterone levels are so high, right? So that means we want to do the most things. We want to experience life. We want to experience girls. We want to experience clubs. You know, we want to experience just the craziness of being young, right? But the problem is we lack the actual foundation because we haven't accomplished anything. We haven't become something, right? We haven't done anything, but we want the pleasure right away. And when you're done consuming that pleasure, you are 30. You look back and you realize you have been focused on the wrong thing this whole time, right? So that's why, you know, in your 20s, it's definitely the time to work the hardest you can so that when you're in your 30s, now you can start, hopefully, if you've done the work, you know, having more pleasure. But the problem is in their 20s, people usually focus on the wrong things.
Right.
And that's I'm sure you had friends like that too, right?
I feel like I also focus late. I'm going to give every single hour to myself now.
And so that would be your main motivation, your parents.
Yes,
Right now. That's
yes.
your main
Basically,
motivation.
my main motivation is to give them a life where they don't have to think about money for a second also.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I don't know, but I will do that thing. And but I think that I will not get married until I will a millionaire.
Until you become successful.
Yes.
And that's why, you know, we talked about technology, right?
Yes.
Technology is so much of a time waster because, you know, I've noticed, like we talked before the interview, that the times where I'm mostly distracted by my phone and by my computer and by TikTok and all that is the time I feel the most sad because I'm not accomplishing anything. Because sometimes, right, we as humans, we tend to focus on the extremes. So when we talk about distractions, we talk about girls, we talk about the wrong friends, but distraction, sorry, can be as simple as just scrolling through your phone for hours and hours and hours and hours on end. And the thing is, the worst thing with that is that you don't even see the time passing by, right? And then you wake up and then you realize you haven't done nothing. And that's gonna bring a lot of sadness. So in your journey to accomplish that success, you have to be very careful about time managing your phone because the phone addiction, in my opinion, is one of the most dangerous addiction right now because it's so easy, right? It's so easy. It's right here on your in your pocket. So you have more potential risk of messing up your potential future self because of what you're doing with your phone. Very dangerous.
And nowadays, because of short form of content, we are consuming too much. After 1 hour consuming that data, we are like blank. We don't have anything to no goals, no ambitions, because
no creativity,
no clue what we're gonna do
absolutely
in the future. So that's what happened. But I thought that I will focus every single hour till the age of 30, and I can't able to do the 9 to 5 job. That's why I'm working hard. I know I can't do that. I will commit suicide, bro, but I'm not 9 to 5. So
yeah, no, for real, 9 to 5. I mean, I've done 9 to 5. I've done 9 to 5. I don't. It doesn't inspire me. You're just making somebody else's rich, right? You have to at some point. At some point, I looked like the thing is, I started working when I was like 20 years old, right? At some point, I looked at the way I was working my 9 to 5 because I've always done banking roles, customer service, stuff like that, and I said, right now, I'm in my 20s. Do I want this reality to be my whole life? Right? Because you just wake up, you waste 7.5 hours of your time at the office, and then you come back home, and then by the time you go home, you're so tired, you don't want to do anything. Just sleep and then go back the next day. Sleep, go back the next day. And then you do that for 40 years. Right?
Same thing.
That's right. And that's when at some point I said, I just found that reality so depressing. So that's when I started looking for other avenues of getting money and making connections with people who have found a way, right, to get money through other means.
So we are close to end up the podcast. There are some specific tips for gym or something like that. Whatever you want to tell them to encourage them to do something.
Absolutely. So, the first thing I would say is don't let your emotions get the best out of you. Your emotions are, for the main part, your enemies, because your emotions are what is going to tell you to not go to the gym. Your emotions are going to be the reason why you make the wrong decisions. Your emotions are the reason why you burst out of anger towards the people who love you, and then you eventually lose them. I had a friend who is actually from India also. And because, people from India are going to watch this, I cannot say his name. So what happened with him, right? We used to talk always, and he came from India, like you told me, right? He came from India here to study. Like his parents paid for the tuition, and then he came here to study so he could have a future. And he was very depressed and anxious. And he always used to tell me, LB, I feel so depressed and so sad. How can I change my life? Because I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have a purpose. I work so long in the warehouse. You know what I mean? And yet I don't feel happy, And he even told me I tried everything. He said he used to try drugs. He used to try prostitutes. He tried everything. And yet he felt so, so sad. Right. And then one day what happened is he went out at night with his car after drinking and doing drugs.
Wow.
Yep. And then he drove, and then boom, he crashed into a house. And then and then before he got arrested, for some reason, I'm not sure how it happened. He had the capacity to go back to India. He went back to India because if he stayed, he would have been arrested and go to jail. And so that story is very important because that shows how emotions and lack of fulfillment and depression can change somebody's life forever. But that means that person right now, they are in India, right? His parents sent him here so that they could get out of poverty. And because of that depression, because of these negative thoughts and emotions, he messed up his future. So the first thing I would say is be cautious of your emotions, because your emotions, your feelings are not always good. Those exact feelings might be the reason of your downfall. The biggest mistakes I've done in my life were based off feelings. When you feel anger, when you feel happiness and sadness, don't act on them. Make sure you think about your actions before you do them. You know what I mean? You might feel lazy. This is more about fitness. You might feel lazy from day to day. That feeling is a reality, but you don't have to accept it. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm sure because you work a lot, you feel like procrastinating. That's a feeling. You might feel like procrastinating. That doesn't mean it's a good thing for you to do. You have to have the capacity to be rational and self-disciplined enough to say, no, I feel this way, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the action. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, no matter, no matter what I'm feeling right now. So for the people any advice that I could give to people is be careful of your emotions. Don't always act on feelings. Make sure you are rational in your decisions. And in regards to fitness, don't overthink it. Just get in the gym, start being active, start working out. You're going to start feeling better about yourself. Hopefully that's going to make you get out of that rut that you may be feeling. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Take action, take action. Don't
Stay consistent and disciplined.
stay consistent, stay disciplined, be sharp. Be sharp means take action. The problem is sometimes we talk a lot. We talk. Like, this is something I'm going to say, right? From year 2018 to maybe 2021, I saw those 3 years. Every December 31st, I was like, yo, I haven't accomplished anything this year. But at the start of the year, I was saying, I'm going to accomplish this, I'm going to do this, do that. And then at the end of the year, the very last day, I was like, yo, what am I celebrating? I'm not supposed to be celebrating the end of the year because I haven't accomplished anything. So as human beings, we like to talk a lot. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Talk less, act more. You know what I mean? Talk less about how you're going to go to the gym and become this monster. actually start going to the gym.
Right.
Do the work instead of talking. Because when you talk, you're wasting energy. Just focus on doing the action. That's going to matter way more in the long term. You know what I mean? So yeah, self-discipline, sharp, and surround yourself with the right people. If you don't have the right people around you, you're never going to accomplish anything in life. People look at me sometimes when I go to the gym and they be like, how did you get to this level of athleticism, right? And one of the big reasons is because I have switched my friends. I've only associated with people who actively want to become athletic, want to have better bodies, want to be people in lives. If I only hung out with people who didn't have any purpose, didn't take the gym seriously, I wouldn't have any motivation. You know what I mean? So those are some of the advices.
Thank you so much. Very nice talking to you, man. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for coming.
It was a pleasure.
How was it? How was it?
It was good.
How was the conversation?
It was good. It was a good conversation. I feel like I talked about pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about, and the main thing for me was really talking to people who are kind of depressed and they feel like, you know, they want to change their lives, but they don't know how to. So that was the most important part, not even the fitness part for me.
Right.
So
right.
I'm glad.
I feel like same. That is the most important part.
Exactly.
Because we are giving worth it information to the people to change their mindset and everything.
And it's funny that the two examples that I gave were actually people from India too, right? That's going to speak to the viewers. They might be able to relate even better.
Right.
I don't know. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about it, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Absolutely. A pleasure, my bro.
Thanks.